The Supreme Court has delivered a monumental victory for the Constitution, the separation of powers, and the rule of law in striking down the excessive use of nationwide injunctions to interfere with the normal functioning of the executive branch. The Supreme Court has stopped the presidency itself. That's what they've done. And really, it's been an amazing period of time, this last hour. There are people elated all over the country. I've seen such happiness and spirit. Sometimes you don't see that, but this case is very important. I was elected on a historic mandate, but in recent months we've seen a handful of radical left judges effectively try to overrule the rightful powers of the president to stop the American people from getting the policies that they voted for in record numbers. It was a grave threat to democracy, frankly, and instead of merely ruling on the immediate cases before them, these judges have attempted to dictate the law for the entire nation. In practice, this meant that if any one of the nearly 700 federal judges disagreed with the policy of a duly elected president of the United States, he or she could block that policy from going into effect or at least delay it for many years. And thanks to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with numerous policies that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis. And some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore. That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation. This was, in fact, it was the same date, the exact same date, the end of the Civil War. It was meant for the babies of slaves, and it's so clean and so obvious. But this lets us go there and finally win that case, because hundreds of thousands of people are pouring into our country under birthright citizenship, and it wasn't meant for that reason. It was meant for the babies of slaves. Ending sanctuary city funding, suspending refugee resettlement, freezing unnecessary funding, stopping federal taxpayers from paying for transgender surgeries, and numerous other priorities of the American people. We have so many of them. I have a whole list. I'm not going to bore you, and I'm going to have Pam get up and say a few words, but there's really, she could talk as long as she wants, because this is a very important decision. This is a decision that covers a tremendous amount of territory. But I want to just thank, again, the Supreme Court for this ruling. It's a giant. It's a giant, and they should be very proud, and our country should be very proud of the Supreme Court today.
Hey family, it is African Osoran called back at you with another video. So of course by now you all have seen that the Supreme Court supported Donald Trump's birthright citizenship ruling. It was he had struck down, or he had signed an executive order ending the birthright citizenship. And whereas now it was taken to court, and the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of Trump's decision to cancel birthright citizenship. And a lot of people, from different various sources, have, are very, concerned about this, and as they should be. This is especially, for people that parents came into the country, illegally and they were born here, or for people that who have had children that they came into the country illegally and they had children, and that child was made a citizen as a contingency of the birthright citizenship issue. So, family, I mean, it is what it is. Uh, Many countries do not offer birthright citizenship, as many of you know. So you cannot go to other countries and just to have your children or your baby, and then your baby becomes automatically a citizen of that country. So, I mean, it is what it is. It is acceptable to come into the country in the correct manner through the visa process, and whichever visa process that is. So whether it is a what is it, a when you're engaged to a citizen, a United States citizen, so a visa or work visa, or however you come into this country under whatever visa program that you come into, it has to be through the legal process. That's just the bottom line. And so now we're seeing many immigrants telling Black Americans that, okay, it's us today, it'll be you tomorrow or next week or next year. And what many of my fellow Black Americans have been saying is, well, it's always been us. And they are absolutely correct. It has always been us. And yes, of course, they are, as we speak, devising or have already devised a nefarious plan for Black Americans. On that, you can bet your bottom dollar. But, fortunately, we may have a little more ground to stand on to fight. And whensoever it comes time for our time, as it has always came time for our time, we will be prepared and equipped to deal with those set of circumstances. You can bet your last bottom dollar on that, because we have always equipped ourselves to do so. So this is a time for everyone to really just understand what is happening here, and that includes the legalities of everything, because it is especially detrimental to one's health, you know what I'm saying, via one's freedom to understand the legalities that are, occurring right now, and what we should be doing. And Black Americans, I would say this, you know what I'm saying? Uh, don't just because today they are targeting immigrants. We already know we have been targeted forever, continuously and on a consistent basis is how it has gone with us. So, make your due diligence. Carry your passports if you have to, copies of them. Make copies, and then you can laminate those, and then keep a digital copy in your phone, because we already know the devices of the enemy and what they will do and what they will try and how they will go about to accomplish the very evil, plans that they intend to take out. So we just be ready for it, as we are always ready, because this is an enemy that we have dealt with for over 400 years, okay? In some honestly brutal instances, it's been much longer than that. So we are prepared. We are ready and we're prepared for whatever we need to. But for everyone else, stop looking for Black Americans to run out there and come to the rescue, because it is not going to happen. It is an unfortunate situation that we find all ourselves in today. But know that this is one, let me say, this is the enemy that we have mastered how to interact with them. I mean, we're still working on some things on presentation and other things, but know that we have mastered just about how to deal with this devil, and how to ensure that we are um, trying to incorporate practices that will ensure that we have the long run, because that's what because they plan for the long run. They're playing for the long run, so we as well have to play for the long run too. So, family, I thank you so much. I'm dropping in this video so that you guys can understand and review it and see it. Let me read a little bit. It's just a snippet of an article, and it's by the AP News, and it says, "What's next for birthright citizenship after the Supreme Court's ruling?" And it goes, the legal battle over President Donald Trump's move to end birthright citizenship is far from over, despite the Republican administration's major victory Friday. Immigrant status, immigrant advocates are vowing to fight to ensure birthright citizenship remains the law as the Republican president tries to do away with more than a century old precedent. The High Court's ruling sends cases challenging the president's birthright citizenship executive order back to the lower courts, but the ultimate fate of the president's policy remains uncertain. Here's what to know about the birthright citizenship, the next for the Supreme Court ruling, and what happens next. Birthright citizenship will make anyone a citizen, okay, born in the United States, a citizen, including children born to mothers and or fathers of other countries that were arrived here illegally. It goes on to say that the practice started after the Civil War, and family, of course, we know that was because there was no more slavery. We know that the Civil War ended, it should have ended all slavery, and but it actually didn't. But it should have ended all slavery within the United States, and shortly after that, um, you know, uh, initially there was a rush of European immigrants. Okay, now other minority immigrants were never really, favored to come into the country anyway. They were not. And it wasn't until the Civil Rights Act that actually supported the idea. And that was because of foundational Black Americans, fighting for that right. But that supported the idea of other minorities of immigrants being able and allowed to come into the country. You know what I'm saying? And to pursue permanent residency or citizenship or whatever, um, so it just, it is what it is. We can only move forward from here, but no, Black people will not be fighting anyone's battles because we have enough enemies that will keep us busy for possibly the next 100 years. Okay, so we can't fight anyone else's battles. But family, I thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. And thanks so much. Be blessed, family. Stay well out there. Stay hydrated and stay cool. Take care, family. Bye-bye. Peace out.